Let's look at your MT2 LT3 seminar. Before we begin, do the first 5 questions and we'll go over those in class. On your lesson goals is I want you to find the perimeter and the circumference of two-dimensional shapes, basic two-dimensional shapes that you should already know, just to kind of review. And we're going to calculate the measure of real-world objects. First off, a polygon, some vocabulary, has to have straight sides. So a circle is not a polygon. It has sides, so it's closed. Doesn't matter how many it has. It's just as long as we close them up, we can get that. And the perimeter then is the distance around the shape. So if we go around our shape, that's the perimeter. The area is going to be what's inside. That's going to be measured in squares. The circumference of a circle is kind of like the perimeter of a circle, but remember, our perimeter goes with polygons, so we just call it circumference. And then the area is the number is the area of a circle for either one, what's inside. Now, here are your formulas that I expect you to know. The area of a rectangle is length times width. A triangle is nothing more than half of a rectangle, so it's 1/2 base times height. A square is a rectangle where the length and width are the same, so we're going to say side squared. And then the area is pi r squared for a circle. We don't really need to know a formula for polygons for perimeter because you would just add up the sides. Notice they gave you one here. Add up all the sides. 4 times the side because they're all the same in a square. And it's 2 pi r or pi d for circumference. An equilateral polygon has all the sides being the same. Equiangular has all the angles being the same. If it's both, it's a regular polygon. Notice a square is a regular quadrilateral. Has all the sides the same and all the angles the same. Now if we take a look at example 1 here, I want to find the perimeter and the circumference of my rectangle and my circle. Now it's pretty straightforward, but notice I'm not given the length and width of my rectangle. I got to find it. You can either use Pythagorean theorem or your distance formula to find the length. So I'm going to use my distance formula. I'm going to subtract my x's and square them. I'm going to subtract my y's and square them, and then add them together. So I'm going to use 1 and -4. So I'm going to say 1 minus a -4 squared plus, we'll go 7 minus 2 squared. So 1 plus 4 is 5 squared plus 5 squared. So I get 25 plus 25. That's going to be the square root of 50. You can write that as a decimal. I'm just going to leave it as the square root of 50. I'll do the same thing to find the width of my, call this W for width, to find the width of my rectangle. So I'm going to use my distance formula again. So I'm going to say 5 minus 1 squared plus 3 minus 7 squared. So I'll get 4 squared plus -4 squared, which is 16 plus 16, which is the square root of 32. So to find the perimeter of my rectangle, I'm going to say 2 times the length, because I have 2 lengths and 2 widths. So I'll say 2 times the square root of 50 plus 2 times the square root of 32. At this point, I'm going to use my calculator, and I'm going to find that. If I use your calculator, you get about 25.5. There is no units I gave you, so just leave it as 25.5. That would be our perimeter. Now to find the area, we just take the square root of 50 times the square root of 32. And the square root of 50 times the square root of 42 on your calculator gives us the square root of 1600, which is 40. And there's our answer. Now let's turn around and let's do the circle. Both formulas use the radius. So we're going to find the radius. My radius is the distance between C and D. So it's just the distance formula, but we'll call it R. So I'm going to say 6 minus 4 squared plus 3 minus 8 squared. Well, 6 minus 4 is 2 squared. 3 minus 8 is negative 5 squared. Remember, when you square a negative, you get a positive, so you get 4 plus 25, which is the square root of 29. So to find the circumference, I take 2 times pi times the square root of 29. At that point, we're going to use our calculator. So 2 times pi times the square root of 29 is about 33.8. The area is going to be pi times the square root of 29, pi times r squared. And if you use your calculator, we get about 91.1. And there's your answer. Now, oops. When we work in real life, we'll usually model with something that's close to or is the shape. And I gave you an example here. Drafters, they use 2 geometric models for their technical drawings. Scientists may use a 2-dimensional model to record the general shape. So we'll do that on the next video.